Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to this year's ELT Q&A or Ask ELT. I hope you're all well. I hope you have been enjoying the conference so far. There has been some brilliant sessions so far, hasn't there? And there are more brilliant sessions still to come. So please do what you can to attend these sessions. Today's session, Ask ELT, this is a great opportunity to hear from the executive leadership team and for you to put your questions to them. This session is being recorded, so if you don't wish to be recorded, please feel free to turn off your camera. That's absolutely fine. The recording, by the way, it will be made available after the conference for those who were not able to attend live, or so you can watch the sessions back at your convenience. This year, of course, we celebrate 50 years of Advance, and this is a great way to hear from each executive director on their journey with Advance and their respective plans going forward. Before I continue, if you did not already know, my name is Max. I am the internal trainer here at Advance, and I've been with the organisation for over 12 years now. So I'd like to ask each member of our ELT to introduce themselves, talk to us about their time with Advance and what has been achieved in their directorate this year, and to give us a brief outline of plans for the future. So if Julie would like to go first.
Thank you, Max. And good afternoon, everyone. I'm Julie Layton, Chief Executive. I'm not going to talk about my time or history with Advance because I covered some of that yesterday. But, I think as many of you will know, I've been with the organisation a bit more than 24 years, and I feel incredibly proud and privileged to lead this organisation. I think more than anything, it is the difference that we can make to our customers' lives that motivates me. It can be challenging at times, but actually providing a decent home for people, giving them the support to live fulfilling lives is really important. And that's what drives me on a day-to-day basis. I also feel motivated by the incredible and dedicated people that work for Advance and what we can achieve together. I think particularly yesterday, I thought it was really great to hear from Tommy Jessup. And, I'd already seen him on the TV. I knew about some of his achievements, but really blown away by what he could achieve. And it was good to hear from his mum as well in terms of him exceeding their expectations. And I think for me, what he said about finding people's hidden talents, their unexpected skills, supporting them to achieve their dreams and ambitions, that's really what I took away from yesterday's session, and looking forward to the future and what I want to achieve for Advance. It's being able to support people to achieve their dreams and ambitions and to be valued in society, a society where their differences are celebrated. So I'll leave it there if that's okay, Max.
Thanks so much, Julie. Sarah, would you like to go next?
Absolutely. Thank you, Max. So good afternoon, everyone. I wanted to start by extending a warm welcome to you all here at our annual People Conference. Whether you've been with us for years or have recently joined the team, it's fantastic to have you with us as we come together and reflect on where we've been and, importantly, where we're headed. As the Executive Director of People and Change, I joined Advance in January 23, and my focus and our collective focus is on you, our people. You are the foundation of everything we achieve, and this is recognised within our 3-year strategic plan, with one of our 4 strategic objectives being investing in our people. Firstly, I wanted to acknowledge some significant milestones that we've accomplished together. Our investment in the HR function is really paying dividends. We've made strides in developing our systems and internal processes. We've improved the availability of data. We've worked on the employee and candidate experience and provided learning and development opportunities through training and apprenticeships. This improved transparency and access is designed to empower you and with the information you need to navigate your journey with us more smoothly and efficiently. Secondly, we've worked hard to enhance our learning management system, making it more accessible and engaging. We've got new features, accessibility, and more personalised learning pathways coming through. Our learning management system is helping you to grow, develop, and hopefully thrive in your roles. Continuous development has to be key to our success, and I'm thrilled to see how many of you have already taken advantage of these opportunities, so thank you. And of course, we can't talk about success without celebrating our achievements in attracting and recruiting new colleagues. Over the past year, we've brought in a diverse group of talented individuals who are already making a huge impact across the organisation, helping us to bring down agency spend significantly and providing a more consistent level of support to our customers, which is critical. The growth of our team reflects not only our strong reputation in the industry, but also the culture we're collectively building, one that values talent, inclusivity, and innovation. So as we look to the future, we'll continue building on this momentum. Our strategic priorities around development, well-being, equity, diversity and inclusion, they're all critical areas that will shape our path forward. We're committed to providing more opportunities for your personal and professional growth and development, working in partnership with customers, rolling out new wellbeing initiatives to support your health and wellbeing, and further embedding the equity, diversity, inclusion into everything we do. It will be the norm. We've got new regulation and employment legislation to adapt to. A couple examples of this are the new Housing Complaints Handling Code. And we've also got the Worker Protection, which is an amendment of the Equality Act coming in with effect from October. This is a new law that places a legal obligation on employers to take reasonable steps to prevent sexual harassment in the workplace, which is a shift from the previous duty of employers to redress sexual harassment to one of prevention. So please do look out for new training requirements around this, and people managers can find out more about this on the HR employment law update, which is scheduled for the 16th of October. Quick promotion there. So as we engage in the conference sessions and beyond, I encourage you not to only celebrate what we've achieved, but to also be bold in thinking about what's next. Do ask questions, share your insights and connect with your colleagues. Thank you again for being here, for everything you bring to Advance. Thank you, Max.
Great stuff, Sarah. Thanks so much. Tracy, you happy to go next?
Yeah, hi everyone. So I'm Tracy Lanes, I'm Exec Director of Support. For those that don't know me, I came last August, not this August just gone, the August before, and I came initially as an interim director and I became permanent in January. So the work that I've been doing and my directorate have been doing in the past year really has been about, we had immediate kind of need to cost save because we were, very overspent last year. So we have worked closely with finance and with HR to try and bring the agency spend down. And we, together, collectively, all of us working kind of, all the departments working together and support managers, we've managed to bring the agency right down by making sure that we recruit managers and staff. So that's been really good. We've also been working really hard. We started in February to get the fee uplifts from local authorities because we pay staff what we're paid to pay staff, if you like. And of course, we increased people's salaries in April in line with the national living wage. And since then, we've been negotiating with all the local authorities that commission with us to try and get that uplift from them. That is a massive, massive undertaking. And I work with, I mean, the people that you know about that who are behind all that is Simon and Rebecca from finance, all of the heads of operations, Addy, Gus, and Di. And we work really, really hard. We meet every 2 weeks to look at who's given us the fee uplift and who hasn't, and we carry on trying to negotiate with them. And it's really, really difficult. It's a very difficult piece of work. But so far, we've achieved 81% of the uplifts that we've requested. You know, we'd like it to be 100%, and we've still got work to do, but it's, you know, it's very, very difficult. And in terms of the other things that we've really worked hard on is compliance, because our compliance wasn't where it should have been last year. In terms of, you know, the balanced scorecard was showing that we were not compliant with a lot of the KPIs that we measure, but also in terms of our BA scores were not what they should have been. So we've been working really, really hard with managers. We meet every 2 months. We talk about the balanced scorecard. We talk about the quality and control toolkit and the health and safety toolkit. And we've managed to kind of move the compliance up. It's taken longer than we would have liked, but we are getting there. And next year we are very committed to increasing that and trying to get to the position where we are 100% rated as good or outstanding by CQC. And we are preparing for the new regulatory framework. And we've also got quite a comprehensive operating plan for next year, which has been shared with all the managers. So that's it from me, I think.
Thanks for that, Tracy. Next up, we have Lucy, if that's okay.
Absolutely. Thanks, Max. Hello to everyone. My name's Lucy Siversundram. I am the new Executive Director of Housing. This is day 8 for me, so I joined last Monday, and I'm really pleased to be here. Having spoken to people across the business, I feel like I've been some sort of mythical creature, and I feel like my existence has been talked about for a long time, but I am real, I'm here, and I'm really pleased to be here. So I can't talk about what I've done for the last year here because I haven't been here, but I will talk about a little bit about me. So I have worked in supported housing for about 9 years. And I'm really passionate about what we do in supported housing. I think it's a really precious resource within the housing world. And actually, there aren't very many of us that specialise in delivering it. So I'm really, really passionate. And that was actually one of the reasons why I joined Advance, was because actually we are a sector leading organisation, and actually we're doing some really important things in terms of shared ownership. And I think what Julie was talking about in her opening there about the ambitions of the organisation shine through, and have shone through for me actually from the point of understanding more about the organisation, that actually joining now in the conversations I have with the people who work here, I can see everybody is really committed and ambitious about what the organisation can achieve, and I'm really pleased to be part of that. And so in terms of the future and what I'm doing now I've joined, is I'm actually going around just really trying to understand how things work here. I think within housing particularly, we've got a lot of regulation. We've had the TSMs come, we've got the social housing consumer standards coming, and so there's a lot of asks of us as a housing provider, and so I want to understand how we can deliver that and how we're placed to deliver that. And so I'm doing a lot of listening and learning, and so I look forward to meeting you all on my journey as I do this.
Thanks for that, Lucy, and welcome to Advance. And lastly, we have Ratna.
Hello, thank you.
Hello.
My name is Ratna Sukumaran. I've joined Advance about 18 months ago, and I have been in the social housing sector for about 18 years or so, and in the supported housing for about 12 years. So understand the challenges of the supported housing and the impact it has on the people what we serve. And that's the reason I joined Advance. And in terms of the directorate wise, I look after the finance, IT, and the business support as such. If I take each in turn, finance, as already touched on earlier on, in the sort of last 2 quarters of financial year, things have been pretty bad. And as a finance director, I've been working closely with the support colleagues and the housing colleagues in identifying areas for improvement. We Tracy already touched on the no agency impact. Agency was the significant financial drag, and we managed to fix it as collectively as such. It's not the finance on its own, obviously, working with the support colleagues, and also identifying the loss-making schemes. We focus on certain schemes which were loss-making, able to turn them around. The financial performance compared to where we were 6 months into the last financial year is a complete turnaround. It really surprised even the board as well. So as a collective execs as well as the senior management team, we managed to turn it around. And on the IT side of things, we implemented the new finance system, which went very well. And the second phase also went extremely well as well. It's working well. And we've been working on the new housing management system. We had a demo earlier on, which is progressing well so far. And in terms of the future, we have certain, expectations on the support area where we want to invest more on the support area and possibly new rostering system, which we are looking into at the moment. So we had some ambitions in terms of the new technology, what we might bring in as well. And we recognize the technology is what is going to be the future, and we don't want to be left behind as such. And we have been investing on the Wi-Fi and various IT technologies. And coming back to this governance or compliance area, and we've been very well served. All the compliance issues we managed to do. At the year end, we were able to show all compliance issues, and we retain our G1B1 rating. So I see financially we are in a very strong position, I would say. Going forward, we have some ambition in terms of development and so on. And I'm currently working with the external lenders as such in terms of the future borrowing requirement of advance, in terms of that it can be invested in future development and so on. So in terms of the future, yes, the finance is making sure those are actively in place as such. That's all I was going to say as the initial. Obviously, there are more questions which will come along. Thank you.
Thank you, Ratna, and thank you everyone for introducing yourselves and for telling us a little bit more about what you've been working on and what you will be working on. Thank you all. Shall we move on to the questions that have been posed, that have been submitted? Before we do, actually, let me thank those, excuse me, that have submitted questions. And if during this session you have a question, please feel free to raise a hand or pop your question down in the chat function and we'll get round to those questions. But the questions that have been submitted to me last week, this week, and up until this morning are as follows. The first question that has been submitted is for Julie, if that's okay. And the question is, what is a typical day for a Chief Executive Officer?
Thank you, Max. I'm not sure there is really a typical day, and they do vary quite significantly. Probably maybe a third of my time at least is planned out, and it might be board meetings, committee meetings, those sort of things, and preparing for those meetings. But other days it depends what comes along, really. Being chief executive, I think I tend to see the worst elements of the organisation rather than the best. So if we've got a significant complaint, I may get involved in that, or a significant incident where a customer or a member of staff gets hurt. I will get involved in those sort of things. I sometimes chair the panel to consider a complaint and chair the safeguarding panel. So those sort of things come up at random. I think the better part or the better days that I have maybe is, when I go out and see our properties or our customers and see the difference that we're making in their lives. And similarly, we'll be looking at Pride Awards tomorrow. Getting the Pride nominations in and hearing about some of those really good things that are happening in the organisation feels really good. So it's getting that balance. But yeah, I don't really think there is a typical day. I think be resilient and be prepared for whatever comes along.
Fascinating, Julie. Thank you for that. I've got more questions here. This is for any member of the ELT. What made you want to join Advance? And I know some of you perhaps have already answered this in your introduction, but anyone that would like to answer this question first, what made you want to join Advance?
Shall I go first, Max?
Go for it, Sarah. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. So circa 15 years ago, I made a conscious decision to join a social care provider who operated as a charity and a not-for-profit organisation. I wanted to contribute positively to make a real difference to the lives of people. When it was time for me to move on, it was really important for me to have an opportunity to utilise the knowledge and experience that I'd gained and to work for an organisation that is values driven and whose values align with my own. I'm a values led person. I hold a genuine commitment to ensuring that there's established trust, safety and a positive culture. Advance has a very clear sense of purpose and I wanted to be part of that. And then when you add in the people element, the reward aspect for me just jumps to another level. Leaving a service or just logging off every day knowing that you've contributed is a hugely motivating factor for me, and it gives me a real deep sense of job satisfaction and pride. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing, Sarah. Thank you. Tracy, perhaps if you'd like to go next.
Yeah, so I mean, I've worked in social care all of my working life, and I've always known about Advance because Advance are an old organisation, and it's always had a really, really good reputation. And the fact that Advance is so old is brilliant, actually. It's one of the oldest social care organisations I know of, but it means that it's sustainable and it means that it's got loads of knowledge and experience. So when I first came, obviously I came as interim, and the work that I was doing and the people that I was working with across the organisation really, but in the operations team, I became committed to that. So that's why I decided to stay. It's like we've started this work, so we'll finish it. So yeah, and and I liked everybody I was working with. So that's it, really.
Thank you for that, Tracy. Lucy?
So I think I touched on it in my introduction, but I think I can go further. I think talking about supported housing, I think that it's a challenging environment in terms of growing and providing more affordable supported housing. And I think one thing that I really liked about Advance was actually it's an ambition for growth, and it's that word ambition again. But there has been some work done by the Learning Disability and Autism Housing Network, which found that 75% of people with learning disabilities and autism don't live in supported housing. And so that need for supported housing is huge. And so actually being part of an organisation that's looking for the solutions, looking at how we can move that forward, whether that be lobbying government or working with others to try and find the solution, I think is a really important thing, and actually a really key factor. And I echo actually what others have said about the values. I think, they're great. I love the values when I read them, and I think I see that when I'm talking to people here, that it is a values-led organisation. And when we do what we do, I think that's really, really important.
Thanks so much, Lucy. And Ratna, what made you want to
Yes,
join Advance?
yes, I think I did touch on my introduction as well. I had been, in my experience was, first, I mean, around about 18 years in the supported housing. Before that, I was in the private sector. And I've been very much involved in the business turnaround situations whereby things have been going, bad and turning around situations. And when I came into housing associations, and I was very much into looking for business turnaround situations. And supported housing has been, as you know, financially always challenging. And obviously it has adds value as well. And that's the reason I moved into supported housing in my previous organization. I've been there for about 10 years. And then I wanted to make a change, and I consciously wanted to be in the supported housing. And I've come across Advance quite a bit while I was at my previous organization. And I did admire of the things what Advance did in terms of the value added. And that's why I decided to come to Advance as such.
Great stuff. Thank you for that. Going back to yourself, Julie, another question that you're being asked here is, what are the biggest challenges that you have faced as a CEO?
I think there's been a number of challenges over the years, and I think one of the biggest challenges for us as an organisation is ensuring the financial viability of the organisation. I think we know that there's not a lot of organisations that develop supported housing because it isn't a business that you can make any money from. So we're always operating really with very tight resources and having to think quite carefully about how we use our income. We're often saying we need, more resources here or there, but because we do operate in a very financially tight environment, we have to focus on value for money and we have to use those resources the best that we can. So I think that always feels like a challenge. I think COVID felt like a massive challenge, and not so much the changes that we had to make and the different way of working. I think for me personally at that time, the biggest challenge and worry felt like thinking about the well-being of our staff and our customers and trying to make sure that we could keep them safe. We had to cope with the changes and working from home and those sort of things. But I was always very conscious that we were expecting support staff to go out on public transport, to use the tubes to get to work, and we had to keep our customers safe. So I think that whole period, it was a great learning opportunity, but it did feel like a massive challenge.
No doubt. Thank you, Julie. The next question is for each director. The question is, what advice would you give to aspiring leaders who aim to reach executive positions in their careers? Sarah, if you'd like to go first.
Yeah, happy to. I would say develop your experience, seek opportunities to gain exposures to different parts of the business. Have an approach of always learning. The business world's constantly evolving. If we can keep learning, we keep up with industry trends, technological advances, leadership best practices. And think about formal qualifications as well. I would also say, embrace change and innovation, be open to new ideas, willingness to challenge the status quo. And innovation is crucial for the organisation to develop as well. Lead by example and inspire others. As you advance, your leadership style will become more visible, and embody the values and behaviours you want to see in your team. I'll stop there.
I've been taking lots of notes, Sarah. Thank you for that.
My pleasure.
Tracy, how would you answer that question?
I think Sarah's spot on when she says about learning, and I mean, I think be very inquisitive about the people that you support if you're in social care, and also about your colleagues, about what motivates them, what inspires them. Don't be afraid to take on extra responsibility, because that's what everyone does. When you want to kind of be promoted, then you have to take that step to take on extra responsibility, and that's how you learn, by doing it. Have a can-do attitude. Be open, like Sarah says, to try new things. Be a problem solver. Look at things and say, actually, this is how we could do this, rather than a problem creator. There's a problem, there's a barrier. Be a person who can solve problems. I think be really clear about your values early on in your career, and stick to them, because that's what gives you integrity and authenticity, really, because you're somebody who's known for strong values, clear values, and you ensure that you apply them to your everyday work. And I think probably those are the things that have helped me through my career.
Thank you, Tracy. Lucy?
Agree with everything Sarah and Tracy have said. I think it's definitely thinking about not being don't just think about the role you're doing now. Think wider, think about what your next step is. Have that sort of forward thinking approach to whatever you're doing in your career. And I think also have don't be afraid to have your real clear sense of self, because I think, you can, that is actually your leadership. That's actually what's going to take you through and make you stand out. So actually have real confidence in who you are, and think about how that can add value to whatever you're doing. So yeah, those would be my 2 points to add.
Lots of great advice here, thank you. And Ratna, how would you answer that question?
Yes, thank you. I think already there's some good advice already gone there. If I were to add, I would say, only thing I would say is hard work. Hard work really pays off. And other thing is already mentioned about personal development and management development. Nowadays you can see quite a lot of management theories as well as management courses are available widely on YouTube and so on. So if you really want to make yourself, want to do some research or do some development, there's quite a lot of opportunities which is freely available. For example, Harvard Business School, all the material is available freely. So there's a lot of opportunities are available online, which was not there maybe 10, 15 years ago. And the other thing I would say is opportunities never, not doesn't come always. When the opportunities come, you should grab it. If I think on, maybe about 25 years ago, there was an opportunity. I was working as a financial controller in an organization. Three of the financial controllers, there was an opportunity as a management buyout, and the CEO was asking three of them, "Who do you want to go on this new venture?" And all three, two of us didn't want to take that opportunity. I also didn't want to. And finally, the one who took really did very well. Then, few years later, I was kicking myself. That was an opportunity. Why was I not bold enough to take the opportunity which comes your way? So, my advice would be sometimes opportunities come, please bold enough and take those opportunities. And that's where your, new ventures come along, I think,
And thank you,
Thank you.
Ratna, for adding to the lots of great
Yeah.
advice already given. Thank you. My next question is for Julie. Julie, you've mentioned yourself that you've been CEO for quite a long time now. The question is, what motivates you to keep going?
I think I've probably covered some of that already. And, it is more than anything else, it is the services that we provide to our customers and You know, if we go back 50 years, an awful lot of our customers would have been stuck in long stay hospitals, you know, stuck on psychiatric wards. I think the opportunity to help them to be integrated into their local communities and to achieve their dreams, that's what motivates me more than anything in terms of working for Advance. And it was quite interesting earlier when you were talking to people, you know, about what motivated them to join Advance. I have to admit that I'd never heard of Advance when I joined. You know, I relocated from Liverpool. A job come up here. I'd worked for the regulator. I wanted to get into a housing association. But at that time, I didn't really know a lot about supported housing and I didn't know anything about Advance. I only ever planned to spend 2 years in this organisation because it is quite a long way from where I live. I think the more I got to know the organisation and particularly the difference we make, the more I felt, you know, I want to be part of this organisation and I want to be doing more of that. You know, it is very much aligned with my own personal values. I very much want to see an inclusive society where people with disabilities are valued. So I think being part of the organisation, and I think seeing so many incredibly committed staff and what we can achieve when we work together, you know, that really is what drives me.
Thank you, Julie. The next question I have is for each director. People want to know what you enjoy doing in your spare time. Shall we go? Sarah first?
Yep.
Yeah.
I like to prioritise spending quality time with my family and friends. My family is everything to me. I've got a 3-year-old grandson, so the opportunity to spend time with him is fantastic. They grow up too quickly. I've got 2 small dogs, one lazy one not so lazy one. So I enjoy going out on appropriate length walks with quite a few stops often to appease the ones it's a bit lazy.
Thank you, Sarah, for that. Tracy?
Yeah, so I like live music, so I go and see quite a lot of bands in my spare time and festivals. I like to spend time with my family, particularly my granddaughter, who's 13, and my dog, who's a really old 15-year-old and he's blind with dementia and a little bit vicious nowadays, but I do love him. So I spend time with him. I like walking, I like gardening, and I also am part of a drama group. And not a lot of people know that, but I do. I do some drama as well, and I'm just about to do a panto. So yeah, that's what I do.
Well, I never. Well, I never. Fascinating. Lucy, what about yourself?
I was going to ask Tracy where we get tickets for this panto.
Yeah, true. Good question.
Well, I've got an 8-year-old child, so what I enjoy doing with my spare time versus what I have to do with my spare time are 2 different things. So I do a lot of taking swimming and brownies and things, but I do also enjoy spending time with my family. I too have a dog, and I really love where I live. I've got beautiful walks, and I really enjoy doing that. Love a good book as well, and I love the theatre. So yeah.
Thank you all. And what about yourself, Ratna?
Yes, I do a little bit of yoga as well as some light sports, just to keep myself fit and so on. I just got a granddaughter, which is about 9 months old, so spent quite a lot of time with her recently. And I do like old classical music. I grew up in Sri Lanka, so I do like to listen to Sri Lankan classical music and so on, and films and so on. And that's where my passion at the moment and that's where I spend most of my time.
You all keep yourselves very busy. Thank you for your answers. Thank you. So I'm sure people on the call now feel as if they are getting to know you all a little bit more better. Now, I'd like to stop there and see if we've had any questions posed whilst we've been talking. I have got some more questions that have been submitted, but for now, perhaps we can have a look at the chat function, Alex, to see if there's been any questions.
Yes, there is one question. Aderonki, I don't know whether or not you want to come on and ask a question yourself. Just would like me to read it out. Okay, I'll read it out.
I think I would. Good afternoon, everyone.
Hi.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm Aderonke, one of the support workers at Pendown, Preneurs Drive. And I think I've met Max once. You're a great lecturer, born teacher. God bless you. I've not met any other person, but at least with what I've heard, I've been so impressed. I know how Advance is going places. I've always derived a lot of pleasure and opportunities working with Advance. I clocked a year and some months. I clocked a year on the 7th August with Advance. And I'm hoping that I spend more years because I've had 25 years, 12 years, 10 years. It's quite a lot of years, because if you work in a particular place for years, it simply means you've been of advantage, or you've learned in the organization, and the organization have been of more advantage to you as well. Now, my question is this. I would want to throw it straight to Tracy Lane. She said something about reducing the number of agencies and bringing up more workers so that the organization can invest more on their workers and spending more on agencies. Now, for the international students or international people who are in here and would want to continually work with the organization, what is the plan of the organization towards sponsorship for those of us that actually want to remain in the organization? Thank you.
I think that might be a question probably for Sarah rather than me. Do you think, Sarah?
Yeah, no, I'm happy to pick that up.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing your experience so far with Advance and your willingness to stay with us. We do have within our HR operating plan an action to actually look at sponsorship. I'm not saying that it's something we're going to do, because there's a lot involved in that. It's quite a complex license system, and we have to ensure that as an organization we have sufficient resource to maintain a license, remain compliant, and there's a lot of ongoing management with that. If we get it wrong, it could be devastating. It could be a devastating impact on individuals and also the organisation. So, we've had to do a lot of work in building the HR function. We are at a point where we can start to look at doing some different initiatives. And so that is one that we are going to look at to see if it's the right time for Advance to look at sponsorship.
Thank you for the question. Thank you for the answer, Sarah. Louise, do you want to come in here?
Yeah, I would. I submitted a question, Max, but I thought I may as well say it in the call.
Thank you.
You having to read them all out. Yeah, this is for anyone on the panel, really. I was just wondering, with the new government in place, whether you felt optimistic about potential positive changes that might be coming our way in both the housing and social care sectors. How do you think that might affect us?
Do you want me to say something from a support point of view?
Why not? Go for it, Tracy.
Yeah. So in their manifesto, they did promise a programme of reform. And, by that, I think they're including all of us, in terms of NHS and social care. So what they say they want to create is a national care service for adults. So not just an NHS or an adult social care, but a national care service that goes across. And they say they want to assess the role of social care workers in what they can do with people. So, for example, social care workers in the community providing some basic healthcare treatment and monitoring. So this is kind of designed to, I think, ensure that people are not, stuck in hospitals, because there's been a big issue for a really long time where, especially older people and people with learning disabilities, that end up in hospital because they're unwell, and then they end up staying there, and they don't need, their kind of health care is optimized, if you like. The hospital have done everything they can, and what they need is social care. They need to go out and they need help to live at home, and that's not what's been happening. And I've been to conferences in the last 10 years where some clinicians, some kind of NHS doctors are saying, look, actually, you can throw as much money at the NHS as you like, but we can't cure this. If we've got a load of people in hospital, you shouldn't be there. We're here to help people who are ill. So I think that's a really positive thing. And they say they want this local partnership between social care and health in terms of our role. I think that's really good. It's a joined up approach, and it will benefit us in social care, and it will benefit our customers. It means that, when we had the pandemic, and it felt like we were coming together with the NHS, social care and NHS were coming together at last. And then it's gone back again since the pandemic. We're back to this polarized, here's social care and here's NHS. So if this new government can do something about joining us up again, I think that would be really good. They also promised to review and reform the mental health legislation, because they say that it is woefully out of date. And by doing that, what they want to do is improve customer choice, control, and racial equality for people in mental health services. And they also say they're going to recruit an additional 8,500 specifically trained staff to work in the NHS, looking specifically at suicide. And I think that will be really, really beneficial to the people we support and to our staff to have that extra resource. So I think if that comes off, that's going to be really good to manage risk. And also, importantly, what they say they want to achieve is a fair pay agreement for staff in social care working across the sector. So it's national. And, because at the moment I do, people, maybe not everybody thinks it, but I know certainly from my experience, advanced terms and conditions are really very good compared to a lot of other social care. A lot of private providers, they don't pay any sickness. The terms and conditions of staff are not what they are in advance. So what this new government is talking about is making sure that the terms and conditions, and there is a national pay and training for social care workers, which I think is a really good thing. So there isn't this kind of, depends on who you work with, or a postcode lottery. It's national. So I think if those things come off, I think that will be good for our sector in support anyway.
Again, thank you for the question. Thank you for the answer, Tracy. Thank you. Now, I'm aware of the time. Time has flown by this afternoon. I better ask these questions, otherwise the people that have posed these questions will be mad at me. Excuse me. The next question is for any one of you, and it is, we're all aware of the shortage of staff across health and social care nationally. How will Advance ensure that we are an employer of choice for people working in our sector?
Sarah, do you want to take that?
Yeah, certainly. It's going to require a combination of strategies. We need to be focused on employee engagement, growth opportunities, positive work culture, just starters. We need to be looking at our overall offering. We're building the learning and talent function through continuous learning by providing employers with access to apprenticeships, training, workshops, courses. This all links to career progression, and we're committed to developing a clear and achievable career pathway for people that aligns to what they want from their career, with their individual goals. We need to be recognising our staff and rewarding achievements. Regular recognition is important, and by acknowledging contribution and achievements, for example, we've got the Pride Awards, we've got the sharing of compliments, or just informal acknowledgements during meetings. That's very important, and that actually drives our culture as an organisation. Mentioning culture again, a positive and inclusive culture where we can ensure that equity, diversity and inclusion are at the forefront of the workplace. We need to create a space where everybody feels valued, respected, and to support this, we've got an EDI strategy. We look at our performance management framework as well. We need to ensure that performance management is prioritised. We give people clear expectations, and there's a culture of ongoing constructive feedback. Development of employee engagement initiatives, regular employee satisfaction surveys. We need to gauge morale within the workforce. We need to gather feedback for improvement, and look to see how employees can voice concerns, offer suggestions, and can really contribute to the decision making within the organisation. We encourage internal moves, and we've seen some real successes with people moving within the organisation. We want to allow you to explore different roles. We want to keep you within the organisation. So, to help find people, roles that will suit their aspirations, skill development, interests. And I think also it's worth mentioning, our approach to leadership development, and preparing future leaders. We're going to be doing a lot more work on succession planning, identifying critical roles, and looking how we can reduce turnover and ensure continuity within the workplace. And well-being has been mentioned a few times already today. We have to develop our well-being strategy to ensure that people are supported within the workforce. So we'll look to see what we can offer and promote to people. And Tracy has mentioned about also, the fair pay for workers. So looking at, what pay and benefits that we can offer.
Lots of bases covered there, Sarah, and I think to cover even more bases, Tracy wishes to say something.
Yeah, just to say, I think we all have a part to play in this. Social care workers that work for us have a real part to play in attracting and, promoting our profession, if you like. I went to Sainsbury's in Witney yesterday to get some lunch. And while I was in there, I could hear this real laughing going on, and it was around the corner. So I walked around the corner, and there are clearly two members of staff talking to two customers, two people with learning disabilities, two adults, and they were so engaged with those people. They were clearly really fond of them, and they were talking to each other and laughing and carrying on. It was brilliant. It's so brilliant. So I went and said to them, "Oh, hello, where do you work?" And they said, "Oh," and they told me where they worked. And I said, "I work for Advance." And one of the customers said, "Oh, do you know David so and so?" And I said, "No, I don't." But anyway, I said to them, you credit you lot to our profession. Well done. It's really nice to see this interaction and engagement. Anyway, when I went back to the office, I sent a message on their website and said who they were, because I asked what their names was, and I said what time they were in Witney, and if you can hunt those people down, you need to congratulate them. Because if I had £1 for every time I saw a social care worker with a person with a learning disability in the community looking at their phone or walking however many paces in front of them, I think you are damaging our reputation, our profession. You're making people think it's not a good profession. But those two people that I saw yesterday made you want to do that job. And I think that's really important. So we've all got a part to play in marketing our profession, I think.
Hear, hear. Thank you all. What do you think? Do you think we've got time for one more question? This question has... Oh, great. This question has come in just this morning via email. The question is, and I think it's for any one of you, what is your key ambition for the organisation? For the organisation over the next 50 years? How can staff contribute to this?
Shall I go first? I think
Please do.
we are at, a sort of period of change at the moment, and I think everyone will know that when we developed the current strategic plan, we were coming out of a pretty difficult period. We've been through the pandemic, high inflation. Things were really, really tight. We'd taken on a contract in Hampshire that was difficult to actually get off the ground. And for this particular strategic plan, we were focused on resilience and how do we ensure that the organisation can survive long into the future, and how do we build that resilience to make sure it survives into the future. So I think it is a good time to really be thinking about our ambitions, and particularly we are making good progress now, and by the time we get to our next strategic plan, I think we will be in a position to be much more ambitious and maybe challenging ourselves really about some of those things that we were hearing yesterday from Tommy, and really thinking about how we become more ambitious and develop much more. And it'd be good to start thinking about how we involve staff and how we get to hear from people on the ground what we really can do to make a difference going forward. So I think over the next 12 or 18 months, we will be going through that planning stage and really thinking about let's be more ambitious and more homes, better homes, but particularly helping our customers to achieve their dreams.
Thank you, Julie. Yeah, that was a really great question. They've all been great questions. And on that note, thank you to everyone that has posed a question to our ELT. Thank you to ELT for your answers. Thank you to everyone that's joined this afternoon. I hope that you found this session interesting and useful. Of course, we encourage you to attend as many future sessions as possible. That's it from me. I've been Max. You've been great. Enjoy the rest of the conference. You can now end this call.
Thank
See you
you.
all soon.
Thank
See
you,
all soon.
everyone.
Cheers,
Thanks.
thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye,
Thanks,
everyone.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
See ya. Bye.